Hello, it's me. Yep, just me. Nobody else here yet. But I figured, what the heck, go live, see what happens. So, tonight is episode 223, so I thought we could talk a little bit about ARs, but nobody showed up here yet, so I don't know what's going on. I know Gizzard was over on Scotsman's show and whatnot beforehand. But in the YouTube chat so far, we have Patriot in the Dark out there, Woods, and Ron 2A Matters. Rumble, I don't know if there's anybody out there or not. But if you're out there watching on Rumble, hello to you too. And say something so we know you're there. Because otherwise, I don't know if anybody's there. So, yeah, that's how it works on both Rumble and YouTube. If you're out there, say you're there. And I don't know what's going on. It's running over on the X. On X. Is it the X or X? It's goofy. It's a stupid name for a network. Sorry, Elon, but it really is. It's really not the smartest name for a network. X, just one. Sure, it's easy to remember, but it's not catchy in any way, shape, or form. But yes, I'm just rambling now. Woohoo! You made it into rambling stage. And as I stated on the YouTube side, Rob's not here, so let's not have any of that car silliness. It's silly, as Monty Python would say. But then half of the shit we do on this show is kind of silly, isn't it? I don't know if my mic's picking up, but one of the cats is going crazy playing with their little toy right now. It's a ball that you whack around a ring, and she's just down there going crazy playing with that thing. Thor's axe is out there, so evening to you too, sir. So, if y'all want, ask me a question or something. Help keep this going. Nothing overly silly. Again, this is not Monty Python. Or, sometimes we pretend we are. A poor imitation, mind you, but still. Oh, let me ask you guys a question. What do you all think about Mr. Stolen Valor running for vice president? Ooh, that grinds my gears personally. Yeah, I mean, this is the rightful. Nobody should have that. The parrot is dead. No, he's pining for the fjords, Patriot. It's a Norwegian blue. He's pining for the fjords. Wood says it's overblown. I wouldn't say it's overblown. And the guy said it. He doubled down on it, and then he came out and said that he misspoke. No, he did not misspeak. That is what he intended to say. You can tell by his body language and everything. That was not a misspeak. He flat out said, "This is the weapon I carry in war," and it's not the only time he's done it. And that's not even the main thing that people have the issue with. The main thing that people, specifically from his old unit, have an issue with on the guy is that he got himself running for Congress right before, again, right before their National Guard unit was to deploy to Iraq, like within a month. And because of that, he got furloughed and didn't have to go over. And he also claims he's retired, which he's never officially been retired. So, yeah, there's a lot more to it than just he allegedly misspoke during a rally when he was running for whatever. I don't know if it was when he was running for Congress or governor when he did that. But there's a lot more to it than just that. A lot more. Yeah, he identifies as a vet, and with his party, make it okay. Yeah, yeah, probably. He also, I believe, claimed to have a rank that he never was awarded to. So there's that. But yeah, there's a lot more to it than just whatever he pulled. Um, Here's the thing with VA disability: you don't have to have served in combat to get VA disability. You just have to have something that was diagnosed during your military service. It doesn't necessarily have to be from war wounds or an injury. You can be diagnosed with, I don't know, emphysema while serving in the army, and your emphysema is a uh, service connected disability because it was diagnosed while you were in service. Um, so there is that aspect of it. Now, I don't know how that works with National Guard. If he was on a activated period where he was on regular duty, that could be the case. With National Guard, I'm not sure how it works for just standard guard duty. I don't know if the guy's ever been mobilized. Well, he was on active duty over in Germany, I think they said, for a brief period of time. So if he was diagnosed in Germany while serving full time, then he definitely would qualify for that if he was diagnosed with an illness during that period. So that is a thing. And it can't just be you get the flu and get diagnosed and therefore you get and then you get disability. It's got to be something you're going to have the rest of your life. It's like my primary VA disability is hypertension, and my second one of my two secondaries is kidney disease. And they're not sure which one came first, the kidney disease or the blood pressure. They're both diagnosed around the same time, and either one can cause the other. So they're not sure with mine what one is what. Now the second secondary I currently have is for GERD, with basically acid reflux disease, is what they used to call it. And the reason why that's service connected is because blood pressure medicine causes it. So that's where my that's where my service connected disabilities are leading to right now. I'm still waiting to see their evaluation with my tinnitus and hearing loss claim. Which, by the way, if you have tinnitus or hearing loss and you served in the military, file a claim with the VA. It costs you nothing, and it could give you a few extra bucks in your pocket every month. And in this economy, every little bit helps. On a similar note, if you have a child who's going to trade school or college, living at home, and either doesn't work or doesn't meet half of their monthly bills, and you're picking up the slack for the rest of it while they live at home, get their tax documents and file that shit on your tax return. It could be the difference between owing the IRS $500 and them owing you $500. It's not just a deductible credit, it's a payable credit for their first 4 years in college or trade school or however long they're in the trade school for. As long as they're getting a student loan and they get a 1098, I believe it is, you can claim that shit on your taxes. Again, that's about $1,000, maybe 1,500, somewhere in that range. So again, very easily that can be a difference between you owing them money and them owing you money. And no, I'm not a professional tax expert or anything like that, but I've done my taxes enough, and I got told that by a tax expert that I know to do that when My daughter was in college still. So, yes, claim that. That's what for anybody out there that says, but that's taxpayer money. Yeah, that's taxpayer money going back into the hands of the taxpayers and not the federal government. Let's be honest. I'd rather have when you guys have that money than who knows what the federal government's going to do with it. So there's that for anybody wants to harp on that part of it. Yeah, because they already got that money. It's already been allocated. If it doesn't go spent, it goes right back into the government coffers, and who knows what the hell they'll do with it from that point. Yeah, that's the way I see it anyway. When it comes to that tax credit. Wow, that was not an expected course that I was looking to go down on, or road I was looking to go down on this show. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what the credit is. God, it's been a while since I filed it, but it still exists because it was there on our tax return this year. But our kid wasn't in college anymore, so I couldn't claim it. Damn, I don't remember what it's called. It's America something credit. I just don't remember what. Sounds like you may be having technical difficulties, folks.
I'm here.
Okay. So I'll ask you again. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. A little sleepy.
Little sleepy.
Yes. The whole JD Vance thing with Walls, talking about Walls and his. I don't think all the stuff that they said about Walls in his service, I don't think anybody who would vote for him will care.
No, they won't give a damn whatsoever.
I mean, kind of some of the videos that I've watched on it. Yeah, there's some shady stuff there, but I don't think it's worth hammering on.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, Thorzak says that I didn't break any laws, so I'm entitled to. Yeah, here's the problem. Well, not with me, but with Walls on that front. Other than the alleged misspeaking part, everything he did was legal. Was it in bad taste? Was it morally appropriate? Was it ethically appropriate? You could argue that it wasn't. I mean, the guy trained his guys to get ready to go over there. And right before they deploy, he gets an out so that he doesn't have to. Yeah, that's kind of scuzzy. But it was also legal. The only part where they might be able to get him caught up in legality is this is the weapon that I carry in war line, which even then, stolen valor is not always a crime either. Is it scuzzy as hell? Yes. Is it immoral? Yes. Is it unethical? Yes. Is it a crime? No. So that's where we're at with him. Should it disqualify him from being able to hold the office of vice president? Legally, no. Should the voters have enough sense not to vote for a total douchebag like that? Yes. Do they? No. We've seen that in the past with some douchebags who got elected. So it's something that could actually have been argued to have broken the law, but had it covered up by his wife because she wanted to be president one day and then lost when it was her turn. If you guys can't figure out who I'm talking about, there's no hope for you.
He doesn't want to say the name because he doesn't want to disappear.
Yes, I don't want to be suicided in the back of my head with the 22. But, yeah. So.
Yeah, poor Rich fell down an elevator shaft onto some bullets.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I hung myself while driving down I-81. Yeah. Yep. So what does that, do you got anything else to add on this topic?
Not really.
No. So I don't know how long you were listening, if at all, but with the episode being the 223rd episode, I thought we could talk a little bit about a firearm that originated with that round. That, well, the small version of it anyway, the AR-15. Because this is episode 223.
Sounds great.
Do you own one? Or is that something you can't say out in Washington?
Well, technically, no, because they're 5.56s.
Well, not if I'm not talking about one in 223. I'm just talking the AR-15 period, any caliber.
Yes, a few. I don't know. What would you like to know?
I was just gonna say, do y'all have those funky restrictions like with like New York
No.
or California? No.
We don't have to have the goofy stock or anything like that. I mean, there are restrictions now where you can't have them, anything new, but they've implemented like no threaded barrel and feature restrictions like that. But what I've got, I can keep so far.
Yeah, here we can have whatever. Technically, under state law, granted, not federal law, but state law, we could have an SBR without a tax stamp by state law. But we all saw how well that worked in Kansas when they passed that same bill. And next thing you know, the ATF was swarming down on the first person to try it.
Well, technically, by law, we can have select fire. By the way the law is written. But we can't have select fire.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't realize just because the state says something's legal doesn't necessarily mean it is. To the detriment of everybody. Another perfect example would be marijuana being legal, right? You got all these states saying marijuana is legal. It's still illegal by the federal government. If the president of the United States ordered the DEA to do so, they could close down every single marijuana distillery in the country.
Well, they do. I know they do raid them in at least California.
That's because they were getting ridiculous and going against even California's law and how they were distributing this stuff.
But that's a huge mess. because the dispensaries can't have bank accounts because of the federal law, so they have to deal in cash. So then now the state has to deal with taxes and stuff being paid in cash. So they have to figure out how to handle all that cash.
Yep. It's one big, as we used to call it in the military, a clusterfuck. Because that's exactly what it is. Anytime the government gets involved in shit, it becomes a clusterfuck. So, Patriot Actor says YouTube deleted his B channel. That sucks. Going back to the comment about should people have enough sense to not to vote for somebody, Thorzak said, the woman running for president, it would be better for her to just keep her mouth closed, but people will still vote for her.
I think that's what they're going to do is they'll probably put Walz out there because he's a better speaker and just kind of hide Kamala.
Oh, he's made some gaffes too, besides just the rifle I carried in battle comment. He said the quiet part out loud about on the campaign trail with Kamala. They were doing one of their rallies, if you want to call having 100 people there a rally, saying that they want to end reciprocity between the states, not just constitutional carry, but reciprocity as well. Kitty's back playing with the toy again.
You tell him, no, Kitty, that's my pot pie. Bad kitty.
Bad kitty. Being a good kitty for once. Just playing with a toy. Yeah, gunpowder's out there. Evening gunpowder. So are all your ARs in 5.56 then?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I have diversified. I've got 300 Blackout, 6.5 Grendel, 450 Bushmaster, 5.56. That might be it. Is that it? I don't know. I'd have to look.
It's real easy count for me. I have two. I have the SBR in 5.56, then I have a 18 or 20 inch in 224 Valkyrie, which I'm thinking about rebarreling anyway.
Oh, 350 Legend. I've got 350 Legend.
My wife has a bolt action in an AR-15 round. She's got a Ruger Go Wild camo American, the Ruger American and Go Wild camo. Let's put it that way. In the 450 Bushmaster.
It's a fun round.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
She hit a deer with that and just about tore its head off. The diameter of that thing, it's almost like shooting a shotgun slug out of a rifle. It's a fairly decent sized projectile.
Yeah, it's really funny when people talk about how dangerous the 223 is, or 5.56, and then I'll show kind of new shooters if when I'm talking to somebody, and then I'll show them the rounds. I said, this is 223 or 5.56. This is 450 Bushmaster. It's the size of your thumb. And they're like, oh.
Yeah. It cracks me up when you get people, AR-15s can't be used for deer hunting. Oh, yeah, they can.
Well, it depends on the state.
There's plenty of different rounds that are capable of taking down a deer. 350 Legend was developed for killing deer. 450 Bushmaster was designed for killing deer. 458 SOCOM can be used for killing deer. 500 Beowulf can be used for killing deer, or 50 Beowulf, whatever it is. Anyway, you get the idea. There are multiple different rounds in the AR-15 platform which can take down a deer at short to medium range. And you get these people that, oh no, it's not a hunting rifle. Yeah, it is.
Well, the round, you know, technically, sure. In some places, it's not because it's not powerful enough.
Well, in some
Considered
places it's
powerful
not
enough.
legal to use a semi-auto. Like Pennsylvania, unless they change the law, you can't hunt with a semi-auto rifle, but you can with a semi-auto shotgun. It doesn't make any sense. And then there's other states where you need straight wall cartridges, but generally speaking, there are multiple different AR-15 rounds that can take down a deer. We're talking whitetail, for the record. I think at a right shot placement, a 450 Beowulf could, 450 Beowulf. I don't know. Damn it, now I'm crossing my rounds. Bushmaster, 450 Bushmaster might be able to take down an elk with the right shot placement.
I would think so. You probably have to be maybe a little closer than like with 30-06, but
yeah. I mean, you gotta remember the 450. Let me see if I get it right this time. Bushmaster was designed to mimic a 4570 in the AR-15 platform.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. And people would hunt elk and buffalo and everything else with a 4570.
But you do get people's attention at the range with it.
Oh yeah, you do. that is a loud round.
It is. First time I took it to the range, I had people asking me, "What are you shooting?" So 450 Bushmaster. Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah. Bonsai Mini Wayne. Mini Wayne out there in the chat. Tell you what's worse than a 450 Bushmaster and an AR-15 at the range is somebody a couple lanes over rapid firing a AR-10 in 308.
An AR-10 and 6.5 Creedmoor there was somebody at the range when I had my Bushmaster there. There was somebody with a Creedmoor with a tank brake on it. Oh God, that rattled your teeth.
Yeah, the 308 did that. We were in an indoor range when the person I was talking about was doing that.
I wouldn't want to be in an indoor range.
No, they were like 3 stalls down, and like you said, your teeth were rattling. Jesus, I was like, Jesus Christ! And I looked over at the guy, like, and I had on the range hat at the time, so I guess he thought I was a range officer or something, and he left. Like, Jesus Christ, dude!
When you're indoors, just like 50 AE is bad enough.
Uh-huh. It's like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude? I mean, this range, they've full auto fired 7.62 by 39, and that wasn't anywhere near as bad. But yeah, that 308 was crazy. And there should have been a range officer on duty, but there wasn't. This was before they fired the entire management, the owner of the company, before they got hit with their insurance issues and stuff. And they brought in a whole new group of employees to run the range management and everything. And there's always a range officer on that range now. It makes it a lot better. Don't have idiots doing that kind of stupidity.
Both the indoor and the outdoor ranges I belong to are private ranges. Mm-hmm. That's nice because then they're technically everybody's in RSO. So, there's days where I'm out there by myself and nobody hassles me.
Well, this range, it's not just a range, it's also a gun store, and they also rent like full autos and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little range that they have set up and everything. Yeah, it's another one. Thor's actually says he likes when a hunter says that the 223 or 556 is a military round. It should not be for hunting. And he says to him, "Yeah, ever heard of 303 or 308 or 30-06? Yeah, right. 556 is a very capable coyote hunting round.
I think
Back-
Woods might be a little behind.
Yeah, I think so. The 556 with the right projectiles, my favorite coyote hunting round. It's small, light, you can carry a bunch of them. Doesn't recoil insane amount, and it just does a number on a coyote. That's not saying I'm going to go out hunting deer with the 556. You could, but I'm not going to do it. There's other rounds that are better for the job, but for varmint hunting, like groundhog or coyote, 556 is hard to beat for that job. And I've had to do both because where we used to live. Heck, man, we used to have I don't know if we still have the bounty in this state or not. One year between my brother-in-law and I, we got $1,000 worth of coyotes right around Christmas time and used that to buy a lot of Christmas gifts and help pay for Christmas dinner that year. Right up to your neck of the woods. They ever have a bounty on like coyotes or anything like that?
Not that I know of, but I don't look for it. There's a lot of coyotes around here. There's, I don't know. The last couple of years hasn't been too bad, but I would hear them at night. You get a pack over here calling, and then a mile off, you hear another pack calling back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Patriot says 223 is bad for hunting because it cooks the deer. Yeah, well, 9mm will blow their lungs right out of their body. Yeah, here's a crazy thing. I just thought of when I said that. Most states, it's illegal to hunt a deer with a 223/556 cartridge. In some of those same exact states, you can hunt them with a 9mm cartridge. Kind of odd, ain't it?
Yeah, I don't know I'm not a hunter. I don't hunt. I'm not up on what Washington's regulations are. I will get the hunting book every now and again, just out of curiosity, but I haven't looked at it lately.
Yeah, I have my other brother, not the one that died, but the other brother-in-law. The one that died is the one that we used to go coyote hunting, but my other brother-in-law, he's got issues with his hand and stuff, so he hunts with a 9mm carbine. The issues that he has with his hand and stuff makes him, because he's got real bad like carpal tunnel and stuff, it makes him really sensitive to recoil. But the way the law is written, handgun ammunition can't be smaller than 3.55 diameter to be used for hunting, which ironically enough would mean theoretically you could use 308. I mean, not 308, 380 ACP, which I would entirely not recommend you go out there doing. For anybody that's listening, 380 ACP is not a deer cartridge. Don't try and pretend it's one. Don't use it as one. I would like to think that the viewers of this channel would know better than to do that. But it's possible that somebody out there may try it. Borzak says that he also lives in Washington.
I guess big game except cougar may be hunted with handguns with a minimum barrel length of 4 inches per manufacturer specification and fire a minimum 24 caliber center fire cartridge. That's Washington.
24 caliber. What is a 24 caliber?
It is unlawful to hunt any big game with a fully automatic firearm, a center fire cartridge less than 22 for cougar, a center fire cartridge less than 24 caliber for any other big game.
We're talking about in handgun.
Well, that's for rifles.
Oh, the handgun you said 24 too, didn't you?
Yep.
Quick, somebody go make a 24 handgun. I don't think there is one, is there?
I don't know. Maybe it's to keep it at 25.
Well, why not just say 25? And who's going to go out there with a 25 ACP? That's the only one I can even think of at 25.
Paul Harrell, I believe, shot a deer with a 25, but it walked up to his tent.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Basically put it to its forehead and shot it.
Well, Paul Harrell's Paul Harrell too. So. Did you see where he's been making videos again? On occasion?
Yeah, I think it's because his channel's dying without him there.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So 24 caliber is 6 millimeter.
It's awful small. So, wait a minute. That means you could hunt with a Nambu pistol.
As long as it has a 4-inch barrel.
You know what the Nambu is, right? I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I would want to try hunting with one, but in theory, by federal law, you could. Be a pain in the ass to source the ammo. That's an anemic round by all indicators, and doesn't grow on trees because nobody makes Nambu style pistols anymore, let alone pistols chambered in that caliber.
Probably because most of the people who owned them shot themselves accidentally.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, it's a real possibility. I guess we should fill in everybody out there in the chat on what the Nambu is in case they don't know. It was the standard issue sidearm of the Imperial Japanese military during World War II and in the lead up to World War II. They weren't very well made, and the round that they fired was pretty weak.
Well,
It
and
was one.
so,
Good.
I was gonna say some of them, if you squeeze the sides, they would fire.
Yes.
Which is, I think, this one. I pulled up a picture. Is it the Type 94 that would do that?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and there's other one too. There's ones that are more refined than that one, but still weren't very well made. But they're not as blocky looking.
Yeah, there's I got the other style that looks like a mix of Mark One and a Luger.
Yeah, that's why it looks like they took a Ruger and a Luger and had a love child with.
Here's the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't very well made. If I remember right, they fired a 6mm cartridge or a 6.5mm, somewhere around those lines. I think they later came out with one that was a 7mm. Eventually, they may have made their way up to 9. They did have some Lugers in service too that were in 9mm. That were basically their version of Lend-Lease with the Germans. I think one or two of the Japanese subs were actually German subs that were sent on the Lend-Lease thing to them. I don't know if it went the other way or not, though. I can't think of any Japanese equipment that was used by the German forces.
I would doubt it.
All right. Now, here's the question. Barring state laws prohibiting anything, they don't exist. What would be if you could build any AR-15 in any caliber, what would it be?
AR-15.
Yes.
I don't know. I probably a 50 Beowulf. I debated between the 450 Bushmaster and the 50 Beowulf, and I went with the Bushmaster because it's easier to get the ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
Although the upper I bought from Bear Creek, I bought a 450 Bushmaster upper, and they had put a 50 Beowulf. No, it was my 300 Blackout. They put the 50 Beowulf BCG in.
Oh, jeez.
So I didn't even check it. Took it to the range, and it wouldn't cycle. And brought it home, broke it down, and was looking at the face of the bolt, and I put a 300 Blackout on it just to see if it was locking up or hold the round, and realized it's way too big. And then, luckily it was marked on it.
Yeah. That's crazy. How do you make that mistake?
Oh, something similar happened to Gary years ago.
Yeah, but that wasn't Bear Creek. That was some smaller outfit that screwed his up.
And I didn't.
More to it.
I didn't contact them. I just bought another bolt for it and swapped it out on the BCG. I will say their customer service is pretty good, because I had my 6.5 Grendel. I built it and didn't put it in the safe, didn't touch it for like a year. And when I took it out, just, finally decided, well, I've never shot it. I need to go out and shoot it. The barrel extension was loose. You could wiggle it and hear it go tink, 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 tink. So I called them and was talking to the lady on the phone. I said, hey, the barrel extension is loose on this. And she's like, oh, well, if you send it to us and there's nothing wrong, then we'll have to charge you for the time. And so I said, well, you can hear it. And I put the phone up next to the barrel and rattled it. Tink, 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 tink. She goes, we'll send you a return label. They took it in, said, yeah, there's a problem. And they sent me out a new barrel, which there are scratches on that. It's stainless barrel. There are scratches on it, which I wasn't happy about, but it's all underneath the handguard. So it's like, fuck, I'm not going to send it back again. There's nothing other than the cosmetics. There's nothing wrong with this barrel.
I'd probably grab one out of the scratched and whatnot bucket. And
that's kind of what it looked like. They had a barrel of Mosins, and they just grabbed my barrel out of that. Lots of rattling around in there. But I mean, it was a really fast turnaround, and they didn't try to get out of taking care of the problem or anything. So
it's good. My 224 Valkyrie, that's a Bear Creek Arsenal upper that I won from Travis P11 a couple years ago.
Gary's saying it was Durkin Tactical was where he got his BCG from.
Yeah, and he had to run around with them.
And I've got at least a couple uppers from Bear Creek and haven't had a problem with them. It was just that one, and I didn't look it over when I got it. I just built the rifle and then threw it in the safe. So.
I haven't had any issues with mine, so I got a whole inventory of one. So, but everybody puts out a lemon every so often.
Yeah, and like I said, they were real quick on fixing the problem. So
yeah, that's always good when they're quick to repair something. It's like when my Kershaw Blur, when it broke the assisted opening action, the spring, I guess, busted in it, and I contacted them to return it and get it repaired. No hassle whatsoever. They next day sent me the mailing label from UPS for UPS. They mailed it, but it was a UPS label, so I got that in the mail the next day. Put that on a box, shipped that out, and while that was still in shipment, I got the replacement knife. It's like they just waited until it was certified that it was being returned to them and sent out the other knife.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what would you build?
What would I build? I've debated this one. Either a 6.5 Grendel, that was one of the ones I've been having my eye on, or with the 16-inch barrel, by the way, on the Grendel, or doing a 300 blackout suppressed SBR for home defense purposes on the latter.
With subsonics, they are very quiet.
Yeah, I know. And they hit with about subsonic out of a suppressor. They hit with about the same forces of 45 ACP or 357 Magnum, which is really good in that kind of form factor. And you can always put supersonics back in it and have it hit even harder if you need to. Like if your house is being invaded by a bear. Around here it's black bear. We don't have brown bear, so
Yeah, we don't either. That's kind of what mine is set up for, because I've got a can for it. Its purpose is from one specific spot down the hallway to the front door. That's what I built it for. And do it so that I don't have to have hearing protection.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the blackout with subsonic rounds and the suppressor. You don't need to wear hearing protection with that. And you still got a nice small package if you were to have to go room clearing. Get a 8 to 10 inch barrel on one of those and you're set. And Gabriel's out there. Hello. Mini Wayne also got kicked off the computer because Ron's out there now. So, evening, Ron.
Yeah, I want to get change out the recoil spring for one of the other kind of plunger style.
The self-contained.
Yeah, so it's quieter because you can hear it. You can hear everything in the rifle, sprawling and clunk.
Yeah, I would have to have one. If I get the suppressed, in particular the 300 blackout, it would have to have one of those in it, or you're defeating the purpose. You have that right beside your ear, clunk, 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 spring, spring, spring. Yeah, every AR-15 does that.
But it is kind of funny because at the range, I had my target on a piece of cardboard, just 50 yards, and you could hear the rounds hit the cardboard.
It's crazy when you got a really quiet rifle or handgun, and when that happens, you can just hear poof, poof, poof as the impact happens. Yeah, Ron says his favorite AR, his A1, is a BCA. Man, the good old A1. The first AR family rifle I ever fired was an M16A1. It was also the first combat rifle not that particular one. I mean, the one I fired was a buddy of my grandfather's rifle. The first one I ever fired. But the first combat style rifle that I was ever issued was when I was in junior ROTC when we would go to summer camp at Fort Devens up in Massachusetts, which is a National Guard base up there. National Guard and Reserve, I think it's both. It's been 30 some years. If I remember right, it was both at the time anyway. And we were issued A1s for range use and stuff. We had to make sure that they were kept clean while we were there and everything. I much prefer the A1 grip over the A2 and those stupid finger groove. I hate that finger groove on the A2 grip.
I like them. It fits my hand. They falls right into place, so it's comfortable for me. But I'm fine with either.
Yeah, it just annoys me because I don't like the way it like splits my fingers apart the way it does. It irritates my hand. Can't stand it. Thorzax wants to know what our first AR builds were. Mine was the SBR, originally as a pistol.
Mine was the 5.56. It was a lower was a Poverty Pony, and the upper was probably Bear Creek Arsenal because I tried to do it for as cheap as I could.
The lower on my SBR, lower on both my ARs are Poverty Ponies. They're both Andersons. The upper on the SBR is a Carry's Guns, Karri''S. I don't even know if they're still around anymore.
That was my first rifle that I owned. It's the one I built when I bought the lower. Guy at the gun shop, he's like, I picked the Anderson. It was $35, and he goes, "How many do you want?" Like, well, just one. I should have bought a bunch, but it was my first. I didn't know. Just one. Because then I developed a more expensive habit. I got into Aero Precision lowers.
Yeah. And the prices on those are coming down now. They're almost at Anderson levels. It's crazy.
Well, Anderson is, I don't know if we'll ever see the $35 again. But
occasionally you will. Especially like if it's a blemished or something. Thorzak says his first build was a PWA lower. That's going back. And an M16 pull down kit sold with AR-15 parts for the lower. Yeah, that was a while ago. He said that was 35 years ago.
Yeah, don't sleep on the blemished. I bought a blemished Aero lower, and you cannot tell what the blemish is. It's on the finish, but you have to kind of turn it in the light to just barely catch a difference in color.
Right.
Other than that, you never know.
The Lone Wolf barrel I bought for my shield was a blemished. There's no blemishes on the damn thing. It just doesn't fit in my gun properly. So that's the problem with that. And they insist that it works fine. It's like, no, it doesn't. I swapped that in the other barrel, the stock barrel around, and the slide moves forward with their threaded barrel in there. It doesn't sit properly. Yeah. So, but yeah, there was not a blemish on the barrel. They were saying it as a blemished barrel. I couldn't find anything wrong with it as far as appearance or anything. But I've not bought a single Lone Wolf thing since then because of the way their customer service was.
Yeah, there's a gun company, I won't mention them, that I won't ever deal with again because of their customer service.
Ron says Anderson rocks. He's stealing a page out of DJ's book. Yeah. Ron says customer service carries a lot of weight with him too. It's got to. If you can't get good customer service, and something goes wrong with your product, you're the one holding the bag, left holding the bag. So they got to have good customer service. If they don't, and if I find out that a company has bad customer, I won't deal with them. You know, if I have an issue once customer service wise with you, that's the last product I'm buying from you. Like Dell used to have good customer service. Never had an issue with their customer service. They started outsourcing everything to India and it went to shit. I haven't bought a Dell laptop since. I used to get the Dell 2-in-1s, but I'm on HP now. I had an issue with HP at all. I don't know if it's still the same, but Dell and Alienware used to have separate customer service divisions, because even though Alienware was owned by Dell, it was still operated as though it was its own separate entity. And their laptops used to be really good. I used to get their laptop. Their full size laptop. The second one of them I bought actually was a quote unquote blemished. I couldn't find where it was blemished at. The only thing that I could see on it was where somebody had bought it previously, possibly didn't take order of it, and it still had the way their nameplates were put on there. They couldn't just take them off without damaging the bottom. And somebody had some gobbledygook engraved in the little nameplate on the bottom of the laptop. But if that's what they were counting as blemished, okay. Yeah. That was a good laptop. My daughter still uses that one as a server for the one game she plays.
The only laptop I've ever owned is this one. The one it's only used for streaming, and it's just a cheap Lenovo with a Ryzen 5.
Mm-hmm. My 2-in-1's it's an HP, but it's got the Ryzen 5. It's the Ryzen 5 5625U that it has in that. The thing I don't like about most of Lenovo's laptops is they soldered a memory to the motherboard. So if you were to have a memory issue, you can't fix it yourself. Which swapping memory is super easy to do. The reason why they do it is because they say it's faster. But when you're talking the speeds they're talking about, it just makes it a pain in the ass to repair the thing. Because to repair that, you almost have to replace the whole motherboard. And you can't just go to your local like Micro Center or whatever other computer shop you may have in your area and buy replacement RAM to put in it. It's like that 2-in-1. It came with one 8 gig stick of memory. I took that out and put 32 gigs of memory in it for what? I think it was $50 back before memory prices started going up again. It's got 3200 DDR4 in it, and it runs like a top. that little laptop with that Ryzen 5 in it and that memory.
The only problem I've ever had with this is had to replace the battery, but that's partly my fault because it stays plugged in all the time. I should have just left the battery out since it's always plugged in.
Yeah, you gotta watch that though, because some laptops will run with the battery out of it and some of them won't.
Yeah.
I've seen that before. or if you unplug the battery, it kills it because the battery acts as a part of the power supply. Ron After says, I'll tell you this, Heritage Manufacturing has outstanding customer service. Amazing the lengths they'll go to make things right. Yeah, I've heard that before from other people, that Heritage has really good customer service. I've also heard that Taurus's new customer service is pretty good when they're not hot gluing your revolver back together like happened to Krabby Turtle.
Well, it's probably a lot easier since they moved it to the U.S.
Yeah. You saw those pictures, didn't you, that were sent to Gary?
Yeah.
The ones that Krabby sent? Man, that
Yeah.
gun looked like they just hot glued it together. They didn't even have to touch the barrel. That isn't what needed fixed. It was an issue with the crane. It's like, why would they take the barrel out? It didn't make any sense. But that happened when they were transitioning where their service center was. So he may have gotten his sent to the old service center, which was in a foreign country. So you got to blame the foreigners. No, not Portuguese. Well, it's Portuguese speakers anyway. Brazilians. Yeah. That's not a knock on all foreigners. I mean, but YouTube, it's just a joke. I know, probably a bad one, but that's what it was.
Rich White does not hate those shifty foreigners.
Nope. Let's see. And there goes the cat again. For some reason, they are obsessed with that toy tonight. And I'm getting stared at by one of the other cats, probably wanting me to play with the laser pointer. Wrong time of night for that cat. Now, Ron's asking, what's going to the range on your next trip? What's going to the range? For me, since my next range trip is going to be on Thursday at Goals, a lot. Yeah, whatever they bring for us to shoot.
I've got a. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about you?
I put a Tasco scope on my Marlin, and I need to zero it. So that's whenever I go to the range next, I'm going to take that out. I was poking around on Amazon, and it popped up a Tasco scope. I said, "Oh, for like $20." Like, yeah, that needs to be on a Marlin.
Man, remember when all the 22s came with Tasco scopes? You go to look at the gun shop, and every 22 had a Tasco on it. Ones that had scopes, anyway. Tasco was the shit back in the day, too.
It was.
Tascos were everywhere. I think every member of my family had at least one rifle with a Tasco scope on it. God, these cats are being bad. one was about to knock our modem down. Thought I was going to have to get up there for a minute and kill a cat. At least the puppy's not down here getting in the mix. He went upstairs when the wife went to bed. That's a nice thing. When she's home from work, the puppy doesn't bother me so much. She stays around, following her around everywhere. She's like, "Why'd she do this?" It's like, "Because you haven't been home all day." So when you get home, she's gonna follow you around like, well, her name's Shadow. You figure it out. That's what I told her. She got mad. It's like, stop with that kind of nonsense. She's got like no sense of humor. So are you and Thorzak's gonna plan a range trip or something out there?
I don't know. It's usually hard for me to get together with people because I'm the opposite schedule of everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, you two are talking out there. It doesn't seem like you're that far apart.
That's probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Woods is only like half an hour from me.
Oh, there you go. All three of you can get together. Go have a day at the range and
Have a
film
three-way
something
at the
or
range.
yeah. Pay him to zero in your rifle for you. I work this crazy schedule. Can you zero this for me?
No, I need to do it. I'm not very good at sighting in rifles. I need to do it more to get used to it and get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of it is probably I'm just not that great a shot. It's close enough. My goal is man-sized shots at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not to where I'm shooting like 1-inch groups or anything.
Yeah, my shooting has gotten worse since I damaged my arm. I know it. I see it every time I pull the trigger. Maybe that's why I like that shockwave. It's small and I can hit a larger pattern. You just gotta get it on center and somebody gonna get hit with multiple little balls of lead. Tell you what, I wouldn't want to be on the opposite end of that damn thing.
No. It's small enough you can swing it if you have to.
Uh-huh. I'm still thinking about getting it fitted for a choke to tighten up its group a little, or its pattern a little bit. Right now it's just cylinder bore, which means it spreads the shot really wide. Thinking about getting it fit for a full choke, which will tighten that up a good bit. So those of you who don't know anything about shotgun, that's going from a pattern like this at 10 yards to a pattern like this at 10 yards.
It just shoots slugs. That'll tighten that pattern up.
Uh-huh. Thorzak says he has a 12 gauge Shockwave. Mine's the 20. The whole reason why I got it is because Sarge, C4 Defense, got the 12 gauge version. And in one of his videos, he mentioned he wondered how that would compare to against the 20 gauge, which one, since they're both shorter barrels, which one would pattern better or whatnot. So we were like a week maybe after he did his video with his, after he got, I think it was the first video he did when he got it. We went to the local gun shop here and they had one in 20. And they didn't want an unreasonable price for it. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. And went out and did that short I have on the channel of shooting it. And comparing that next to his video that he did, they pattern very similar, at least with birdshot. Yeah, basically, it was a whim buy based on what Sarge said in his video. I think the 20 probably would recoil a little bit less than the 12 gauge, though.
Probably.
Well, it's fun to shoot that little bastard, I tell you what. I just wish the ATF would get the damn approval through for my SBR on it. It's only been SBS. It's only been a year. Over a year. I ain't heard shit as far as movement on that from them. And my AR-15 tax stamp back that quick. It was less than 2 months and I had that one approved. This one's the exact opposite, going slower than hell. I may have to call them when we get back from Tennessee about that. Not that I think it's going to do any good, but couldn't hurt. Call their NFA line and be like, what the hell's up with this?
I will say that the one time I called the NFA, the lady on the line was very polite and as helpful as she could be.
Yeah. Ozzy says he gets to pick up his Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 tomorrow. I still say that thing looks like somebody took a Shield Plus and threw it in a washer and dryer and too high of water temperature and then too high heat on the dryer and shrunk the thing. Honestly, I don't get why they didn't just make a Shield Plus in 380. And the crazy part, I was looking at the statistics of the 2.0 versus the original Bodyguard. The 2.0 is bigger, but it's lighter than the original Bodyguard. Now, what's one of the biggest recoil mitigating factors on a handgun? The weight of the weapon. Somehow Smith Wesson is claiming that the Bodyguard 2.0 recoils less than the 1.0.
Oh, they might have jiggered with the grip geometry a little bit.
Yeah, Ozzy says pretty much a baby shield. Yeah, basically Baby Shield Plus. It's basically what it is. It's got almost the same profile to it and everything. It's just smaller and weighs 10 ounces less. I'm just not a fan of those really small 380s. The Ruger LCP my wife had kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. That thing was a bitch. recoiled like hell and had a 13-pound trigger on the damn thing.
Makes it safer. You're not going to accidentally pull that trigger.
No, you're not going to accidentally pull that trigger. That is for sure.
Oh, I still carry my PPK all the time in 380. I love it.
Well,
Stainless.
PPK is an all-metal gun too. It's got to have a slightly more weight on it. You know?
Oh, then
And it's a little bit bigger.
The 380 EZ. It's not bad at all.
No, I got one of those too. I thought about getting one of the P365s and 380 to go with the 9mm.
Gary says 380 ACP equals 9mm gap.
Yeah, right.
Now, Gary, 380 ACP was designed by Browning.
This is true.
He's an American treasure, and I will not have you besmirch America.
But he was a Mormon. Does anybody even use 45 gap anymore? Did anybody ever really use 45 gap?
You can still buy it.
It doesn't mean anybody uses it.
Somebody must if they're still selling it and selling the gun.
Maybe Mexicans are using it because it's not a military round, so maybe that's another round that they could have. I wasn't joking when I said that. I was being honest. You know, like 38 Super, how it became really popular in Mexico because it wasn't a military round and that was something they were allowed to have. Anything that's ever been in a military round, they can't use in Mexico.
Well, anymore, they've got everything in Mexico.
Well, legally. Legally, they can't have it. Let's go down the line of some of those rounds that would entitle. Right? It'll be 32 ACP, 25 ACP, 380 ACP. All three of those rounds would be rounds that legally in Mexico they would not be allowed to have because at some point they've all been used for military purposes.
What about 40?
Yeah, 40. 40 would qualify as well. It's been used by military law enforcement units like NCIS and Coast Guard. They've both used 40.
So basically, you've got 38 Super and Pinfire.
45 gap, yeah. I know 357 Magnum and 44 Magnum have also been used by the military as survival firearms for pilots. So that would probably disqualify them as well. You don't realize just how limited the Mexicans' ammunition supplies are until you start breaking it down as what could potentially be disqualified. That doesn't even get into all the different crazy rounds that have been used over in Europe that they would be disqualified from using, like 9mm Largo. or 9x21 millimeter. Barbecues out there. He said 45 gap stands for Gay Arse pistol. Hey, barbecue. Gotta remember the PA State Police used to use 45 gap. So, yeah. They wised up and got rid of their Glocks and got SIG 227s and 45 ACP. After like 3 of their officers had issues where they shot themselves in the leg with their Glock in that caliber, specifically that caliber. And Glock was being a bitch to work with on getting them spare parts and everything to fix the problem that was wrong with the pistol. The problem was able to be linked directly to the pistol. It wasn't officer error. The pistol had something wrong with it. Well, I wasn't saying anything against what you were saying. I was saying that the PA State Police had it and then they realized it was bad and got rid of it.
Maybe they decided it wasn't gay enough.
Well, they had 3, I think it was 3 or 4 officers that shot themselves because of a defect with the Glock in 45 gap. I forget which model it was they had. And when they contacted Glock about it, they wouldn't send them replacement parts to fix the pistols.
It's just their cover story.
Well, they documented the issue. It's all public record.
Oh, it's all forged. They shot those officers on purpose, just to cover it up.
Glock, they got to protect that Glock perfection. Now, Thorzak said he had a Star pistol in 9mm Largo. He would say he liked it. It shot well. For those of you who don't know, Star is a Spanish manufacturer of pistols. I think Gary has a Star in 9mm, don't you, Gary?
Yeah, I think he does. I saw, it was a few months back. Cabela's had a Star BM stainless. Oh, I wanted it.
Yeah, Gary said the Star BM's the one he has. And Ozzy has one too. That's the one that looks like a 1911 without the grip safety, right?
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't a BM. The one that it was a Firestar.
All right. I'll be right back. I got to take care of something.
Oh, now you're screwed. You're leaving me alone. Yeah, so how's everybody doing there? Yeah, Gary said they'd be great, except spare parts are almost non-existent now. That was kind of one of the things I thought of when I looked at it, but I still kind of wish I had bought it just because it looked cool.
Sorry about that. I had to fix a cat problem. And Gary says the Star BMs are great, except for spare parts are almost non-existent. Yeah, those haven't been made for a number of years. No, I didn't kill the cat. She took in, surprise, surprise. We got a shit ton of cats running around this house. My wife brings in more every time you turn around. Anyway, another rescue, this time a mommy and one baby that survived. And the little puffball insists that he can get out of the box and run around and play on the floor. This kitten is only a couple of weeks old that she insists can go on the floor. So I was putting it back in the box with its mommy. I kept hearing meow, 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 real quiet, and I looked down at the floor, and there's the little, tiny little baby on the floor. It's like, God damn it. Here we go again. At least it wasn't the one adult female who thinks that she has to take the kitten upstairs every time you turn around. She helps rescue him with other basically integrated with the pound and another organization here. Instead of having an actual physical pound, they place them in people's homes until they can find homes for them. And she kind of volunteered us. Gunpowder says, cats? Oh, no way. Tarda and I have a strict rule of only one cat per house. Sir Murder Mittens is it no more. Sir Murder Mittens. Interesting name. I would have also accepted Sir Claus a lot. Now, Thor's axe, is asking, does anyone here have a cheap pistol that served you well, never had any problems with it? My Taurus G2C. I have had no problems with that from day one. Paid less than $190 for it when I got it brand new.
I guess, yeah. I've got a Taurus TH9. Never had a problem with it. My Taurus 65. Never had a problem with it. I don't shoot them a lot.
My oldest is using that G2C now until she can get something of her own.
I don't
I don't
care
know.
for those. I didn't like the. I mean, I didn't find anything technically wrong with the G2C or the G3C. I just didn't. They don't fit my hand very well. I didn't care for them.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to get it back from her. She likes that pistol. She shot it numerous times when we've gone to the range and stuff. She loves that thing. She likes that more than any other pistol I have. So. Which is good because her little sister, on the other hand, thinks my HK USP belongs to her. And had to explain to her that no, that pistol does not belong to you. She's like, well, if something happens to you, I'm getting it. I was like, who the hell said? I'm not even dead yet, and you're wanting to say what you get. It don't work that way. Then she gets mad. No. Gunpowder says Tardot's guns don't cost her a dime, and they work really well. Ozzy says he has 4 Tauruses, never had a problem with any of them. I don't think Gary can say the same thing. There was one Taurus. Which one was it that he had that he didn't like? Is that the Spectrum or whatever?
It was one of those.
Yeah, speaking of 380, I think it was one of the Taurus 380s he didn't like. The inverse of that, a gun company is supposed to be really good, but has a really shitty pistol. I'm going to start and say the Beretta Pico. That thing is a piece of junk. Don't ever buy a Beretta Pico, folks. We've discussed that on the channel before. Yeah, Gary said it was the Spectrum. And the one Pico that I've handled and shot on a range at a gun shop, I guess you could call it a test range. That thing was a bitch to work. Dropping the slide on that thing and whatnot, it was a pain in the ass. What about you? What's one gun did you think that you've had experience with in any way, shape, or form that was from a really reputable manufacturer, but the gun was a total piece of crap?
PK 380.
Well, when did you say? I'm sorry.
PK 380. Because it's not it's branded a Walther, but it's not a Walther.
Is that the ones made by Humorex?
Yep. I still have it, just because nobody will take it.
I'm not sure what gun Vorzax is talking about. He said he cut a clear piece of plexiglass to replace the left grip panel so he could see how many rounds were left in the glance. He said it was definitely well used when he got done with it. Well, now tell us what gun you're talking about. I don't see where he said what gun it was. He said he gave it to a friend of his. Oh, Llama
Oh.
45. Okay. Yeah, my son has one of the Llama. What is it? Mighty Maxes in 40. It's been reliable so far. For those who don't know, Llama was a Spanish company that made 1911s and double stack 1911s. Not quite a 2011 because the 2011s is a lower frame that's made up of polymer and aluminum or polymer and steel. The Llamas were all steel on the lower frame, just like a 1911 would be, even on the double stack. It's like when people say that the old Para Ordnance double stacks were 2011. Not really, because they were metal frame as well. They didn't have the polymer aspect that the 2011s, like the Staccato, has. Which I guess now they're the only ones that are allowed to use 2011 because they've somehow got it copyrighted. Which is why everybody and their mother's trying to scramble to figure out a different name to call the thing. Yeah, Thorzak's about the Llama says it wasn't some prize looking thing, not the tightest built, not the most accurate, but it was reliable and devoured everything he shot at. Yeah, it's about what you could say about the one my son has. That was his first pistol too. He saw that used at pawn shop and they wanted a good price on it. And I was like, okay. That was his 21st birthday present. His 18th birthday present was an SKS, which again he wanted. He picked it out, and they had a good price on the SKS. So this was before they really started going to insane prices. Gary says his lifeguard has never had any feeding issues. Yeah, I guess not. It's what, a single shot? Kind of hard to have feeding issues. Yeah, if you have feeding issues in a single shot pistol, you got a problem. Unlike that silly double-barreled 22 revolver with that weird ass trigger pull on that thing.
I think you pretty much have to do a 2-finger trigger because of the weight of the spring that fire 2 rimfire rounds.
Just have both firing pins go off on one trigger pull. Stage it. Maybe you might be able to stage it like a double barrel shotgun. I don't know. Never really thought about it. It's still a weird design. Yeah, Gary says he's pulled that trigger in a gun shop and you can't pull it with one finger. Yeah, I've watched a couple of guys shooting that on YouTube and said the same thing. There is no way to pull that trigger with one finger. Yeah, Thorzak's going back again to Islam says that I'm assuming he's talking about the fact I got my sons for him when he turned 21. That That was the age when he got his. He got it for $75 from a private sale. And he has a lot of fond memories around that gun. The last time I shot that gun, the one my son has, I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that thing trying to aim it. I started rapid firing it and put every round on trigger or every round on target with every trigger pull. It was the strangest thing. Try aiming it and couldn't. Just say screw it and just start popping rounds off and hitting it every time.
I did that with that PK380. I was actually doing a review on earmuffs, and so I put my mic inside of them, kind of held them together, and then just shot off a bunch of rounds and ended up shooting a real tight group, not even really looking.
Strange how that works sometimes, isn't it? Some guns aren't meant to be aimed, I guess. Point and shoot. Like people claim a shotgun's meant to be used. Which the only people that say that are people that have never actually used a shotgun.
Oh, that was first time I shot a shotgun was when I bought my first shotgun. And I was looking at it and I realized the sights are different. How the hell do you sight this thing? And then, talking to other people and looking online, okay, it's not hard. It's just different.
Yeah. How many times do we hear in like movies and stuff, it's a shotgun, just point and shoot. It's not that easy. You actually do have to aim those things. Again, like you were just saying, it's a different type of aiming, depending on what you're shooting, especially depending on what shotgun you have and what you're shooting out of it. I mean, a slug gun is going to be pretty much like aiming a rifle, right? Because that's basically what it is. It's basically a big bore rifle. With that, the rifling's only on the round itself instead of the barrel, which is how they get around certain laws. But yeah, there's definitely an aiming you have to do with it. And you have to learn how to lead your target if you're like hunting birds, you got to learn how to lead the target so you don't miss and shoot behind them, that kind of stuff.
You just don't lead them as much. Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. Wood says you should aim, but it's not a pinpoint thing. Apparently, Thorzak's llama was a cheap, fun date. I don't know. Have you seen ammo prices lately? But that was probably a few years ago, you're saying, so before the bad times. Where you couldn't find certain kinds of ammos, and when you could, they were astronomically priced, and if you reload, you couldn't find the primers to load your own.
Oh, our local Cabela's still has their ammunition section is half of what it used to be.
Yeah. When we went to Sportsman's Warehouse the last time, they didn't have any self-defense ammo at all. It was all range and target ammo. They didn't even have any hunting rounds in the rifle calibers. It was crazy. Ozzy says he got 6 boxes of Blazer brass for $13.99, so $14 a box for 6 boxes of Blazer brass and 9mm.
That's not bad.
No, it's better than what it's been. And he's in Illinois, so add on the Illinois tax to that. Wood says the Bass Pro in Tacoma gun prices are 1/3 more than what they should be, and they're pretty well stocked, he says. Thorzak is telling Ozzy that was a good deal. Man, I remember you used to get Blazer brass for $10 a box around here. Again, that was before the bad times. Before the empire of the nanny state, as Thorzak's put it. Anybody else got anything out there in the chat? Or anything, or you got anything you want to talk about?
Not really. Nothing in particular.
Oh, you know what I saw in the ethnic food section the other day?
What's that?
I may have had the wrong country. It was a Korean import ramen that was tuna flavored. I didn't have my phone on me, so I couldn't get a picture of it. So I knew it was some Oriental country or Asian country. I don't know. Your wife's from Japan. Do they consider Oriental to be?
She uses the term Oriental.
Okay. So where does the left get that that's a racial slur then?
It's kind of it'll be the second generation that get offended by the words. But it's kind of first time I heard my wife say that, I caught me off guard because I had been corrected on that by a friend that was half Japanese. That rugs are Oriental, people are not.
Well, what about soups? Can soups be Oriental, or is that against the?
I don't know. There's Oriental flavored ramen, so.
Well, no, that's soy now.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones that are marked soy, those are the ones that used to be marked Oriental. It's goofy. It's real.
Barbecue, no. It was. I will say it was complicated, but that didn't happen.
But keep track of what is and isn't offensive. You need a fucking scorecard. Or you just not give a shit like me most of the time. It's like I think most of my posts that I make on X are some way derogatory towards Islam. But they bring it on themselves.
Were they asking for it? They're all asking for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're all asking for it. When you follow the most obvious false prophet in the history of the world, who was a child raping, cross dressing pedophile, maybe you should be made fun of. Barbie says breaking news: scorecards are officially offensive. How are you supposed to know who won the baseball game? Thorzak's said he got a disciplinary action once. He asked a woman at work what city in Korea she was from. She told him, and he said, "Did you know a guy named Jeff?" And that led to HR action. Unbelievable. Barbecue now updates and says scorecards are still unoffensive at this time. But he says keeping score is racist. I thought Matt or Ozzy said keeping score is racist. I thought math was racist. Or did that end when Muslims started claiming that they invented it? See, this is why you need a freaking scorecard. Can't keep track of shit. It's like, how do they expect you to keep track of all this garbage?
I don't need a scorecard. I choose not to play the game.
Oh yeah, barbecue brings up no math is fake. Ask Jason and Scotsman. Yeah, that was an interesting episode. Mr. Bob Dabalina is out there, and he says white math scorecards are super racist. Is that a new category that we have to keep an eye on? Super racist? You're just making it harder, Mr. Bob. Isn't it hard enough already? Oh, man. I tell you what. We're coming up on time to end this anyway. We better before somebody says we're offensive just for being on the air. So, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
If you're not subscribed, subscribe to Rich White. He also has a Patreon and other stuff. I don't remember.
I don't have a Patreon anymore.
He doesn't have a Patreon, but there's other stuff
going
on there. You could mail him a check. You can stand outside his house and stick money in his G-string. Any way you want to support the channel.
Well, the main ways are down in the description. So. And running in the scroller across the bottom. And as far as one of those affiliates, the newest one, the Raven Crest Tactical, I also now have a coupon code for you folks out there. If you want to go and buy one of their knives and help the channel out, you can also get a 15% discount by using code UnloadedRich. And like I said, save yourself 15% off the cost of the knife. Or whatever else they sell. I think they have some other things there as well besides just knives. But mostly they do the out the front style knives. They have a couple of folders, I think it is, and maybe one fixed blade. But I think they have other kinds of merch, store merch. So yeah, find the link to their website down below, the coupon code down below. So yeah, and it's a real good way to help the channel because unlike most commissions you get from affiliates, which are be like anywhere between 3 to maybe 10% of the purchase price that the person buying the product spends. With Ravencrest, I get a whole 25% of the selling cost. So you'd really be helping the channel out if you don't want to, use the subscribe star. I can't talk right now. Subscribe star or PayPal methods. You can go down there and buy yourself a nice knife and help the channel out that way too. And of course, you got Blackout Coffee where you can get 25% or 20% off your first order using the code RichW20 over there at Blackout Coffee. And anyway, you can also go over to Rumble. I am monetized on Rumble, and you can use the subscribe button or their version of a super chat if you wanted to do that. Anyway, those are ways you can help the channel if you choose to do so. And I want to thank Foss for reminding me to throw that out there with his plug. And yeah,
No
be
problem.
sure. Yep, no, thank you. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And please share the content as well. And remember, when or if we ever hit 500 subs, I still got that giveaway to do. It's like every time I hit 408 subs, I lose one. It's the same rut I was in back when I was at like 290? I was in that same rut. I would get one, I would lose one. I would get one, I would lose one. And now it's happening all over again here in the 400s. It's crazy.
You need to get yourself out there and push.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we will bid y'all adieu for this week. Remember, no show next week. I'm going to be in Tennessee hanging out with a bunch of the YouTubers and whatnot at the GOA's Gold Show in Knoxville. So, yeah, show will not be able to be done next week. So, we will see you back here in 2 weeks.
Well, you probably could. You just choose not to.
Well, I have no idea what the internet situation is. Stuff's going to look like, so it's safer not to schedule one. And who knows what we're going to be doing Sunday night, because everybody's going to be leaving Monday, so we're probably going to be having a get-together Sunday night, I would assume. So, anyway, we will catch y'all in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody.
Have fun at your swinger party.
Now listen up, babies. I'm here to ride the train down the funky town. The Unloaded Media Channel is doing a giveaway once he hits 500 subscribers. For more information and details, check the description down below. And you too can be funky like a monkey.